They've been playing basketball here since 1961. It can get very loud in here. Skip Prosser now in his 6th season as head coach of the Demon Deacons. Here's the way his starting 5 looks. It's Young, Williams, and Smith to go along with Weaver and Michael Drum, and of course Kyle Visser in the middle for the Deeks. Seth Greenberg in his 4th season as the head Hokie. His starting 5 looks this way. And Lewis Witcher getting the nod, along with Jukite, Gordon Dowdell, and Deron Washington. Very explosive player, one of the most explosive players in the country. They're hoping for a crowd of about 7,000 or so. Dan, let's get your scouting report.
Wake Forest, they call themselves the Speed Demons, but they've got to play intelligently. They've got to go fast, but they don't want to hurry. They've got to be able to shoot the ball well from the free throw line. And for Virginia Tech, the veteran virtues, those guards we talked about, and the extras, we mean extra opportunities. They've got to do a good job on the boards.
Our officials for tonight's game, Gary Maxwell, Michael Kitts, and Curtis Shaw. 3 of the best.
This is going to be a very interesting challenge for Ishmael Smith. Jamon Gordon is an outstanding defensive guard. He's got quickness, he's got size, he's got strength. Man-to-man defense for the Hokies.
I was talking to Ish Smith today, and I said, what do you think about this? He said, man, I can't wait to play in the ACC. And I really particularly want to play against veteran guards. They're pretty good. I look forward to the challenge.
That's going to be all the challenge anybody wants.
Trying to work a high pick and roll, but a pretty good show there by Tech. Shot clock down to 3. Weaver must launch. That was a wonderful opening defensive sequence for Virginia Tech. We're at the Castle Coliseum here in Blacksburg, along with Dwayne Ballin, Dan Bonner, Tim Brando. Happy to have you with us. Just underway. Virginia Tech and Wake Forest in their opening ACC games of the year. Witcher, too strong off the nice feed. Williams comes down with a rebound and a quick foul spotted by Gary Maxwell.
Very aggressive half-court attack. Skip Prosser's defense back on its heels, but Witcher missed that layup. One of the things that's going to be a problem for Wake Forest, if Virginia Tech's going to attack the basket, Kyle Visser risks some foul problems, and he is their main scoring threat.
Chet Jukite got that foul for Virginia Tech. There's the dump down to Drum.
Visser has to handle the ball inside.
There he is. Quickly doubled, now tripled, and Virginia Tech gets the turnover.
That was really not a very good entry pass. You've got to throw Visser the ball so that he doesn't need to dribble it to get in position. With the double teams and triple teams that are going to come, he's got to be able to catch the ball and make a move.
Now, this is the heart and soul of the team right here. Jamon Gordon, 22. Dowdell's coming off a difficult performance recently, but along with Jamon Gordon, these two can be dynamite in the backcourt. And there's a push.
When a guy like Kyle Visser is going to be so effective on the inside, watch him, he passes the ball and then goes down inside, and as he catches the ball down by his knee. He's got to be able to catch it so he can do something with it. As he dribbles, the defense comes and takes it away.
Foul was on Ishmael Smith, so a fresh clock for Virginia Tech to work with.
Smith has his hands full at both ends of the court. Down on this end, he's trying to guard Xavier Dowdell.
Washington trying to blow past Williams. Got a little too deep, and the 3-second violation whistled against Virginia Tech.
One of the things that Virginia Tech does very well is attack the basket off the dribble. They really like to spread you out and get after you, particularly Dowdell, Gordon, and Deron Washington. Seth Greenberg not happy with the result of that particular play, however.
Now the problem for Smith as a guard, there you see Visser in traffic, and a nice feed coming that time from Williams. The problem for Ishmael Smith of late has been, as a penetrating point guard, he's gone in a bit too deeply. I'd like to see him pull it back a bit after a great start in those 3 losses that they've incurred. That's been one of the issues number 10 in black and gold has had.
Man-to-man defense for the Deacons.
Dowdell with a jump stop off the front rim. Gets his own rebound, stays with it. And he's one of those guys that doesn't mind creating contact and then taking the shot. Drum drives baseline into traffic. There's that penetration we were talking about. This time perfectly over to Drum. Visser gets the long rebound. Stays with it. He's a lot stronger this year, Dan, than he's been. I think he's added probably 15 pounds, mostly in the upper body. On the blow by, Dowdell unable to get past Visser.
Virginia Tech getting short shots, but not easy shots. Hokies, I think, a little bit impatient on the offensive end right at the moment. They're driving the ball to the basket, and just because you're close doesn't mean you ought to take the shot.
A.D. Vasayo and Coleman Collins will come in on the next dead ball for Virginia Tech. Smith on the wing knocks down the tray. Wake Forest out to a 5-0 shutout. 3.5 minutes gone here at Castle Coliseum. You can really tell the student body is gone. Of course, we're all colleges across the country for the most part. Final exams concluded this past weekend. And in Virginia Tech's case, much of their enrollment is far, far away from the Blacksburg area. So most of this crowd is filled with locals, many of whom normally would not get an opportunity to come to a game because they're sold out. Those student
sort of
tickets
much more family crowd,
yes,
much more holiday-oriented crowd, I suppose.
Which I think would be of great concern to the home coach. I think you want to create that pit, which is what through the years Castle Coliseum has been. I think it adds to the pressure on the home team.
Well, interesting man-to-man matchup right now. Ishmael Smith trying to guard A.D. Vasayo.
Gordon making it inside. And that's a foul going the other way. Player control foul against Jamon Gordon. Kyle Visser looking good early. So are his teammates. Demon Deacons 5-0 early on. The metaphor man of basketball can cross over to baseball from time to time to illustrate a point. And he's going to do just that right now for Virginia Tech. Right, Dan?
Virginia Tech was involved in an awful lot of close games, and they lost them last year. And that's sort of warning track power.
Oh.
As the Hokies slugs the ball, these close losses, they end up landing out on the warning track. You see the loss to Duke, the loss to Bowling Green, the loss to Boston College, North Carolina. All close games. Those are the kinds of games that you have to win to be able to get yourself a bid to the NCAA tournament. And unfortunately for the Hokies, it has started that way again this year. You can see 3 losses, 3 close games. And remember, Tim, chicks do dig the long ball, but so do members of the NCAA tournament selection committee. Seth Greenberg's guys got to start hitting some of those over the fence.
I would agree. You always had warning track power. Even in basketball, you can have it. Drum takes it in. He's rejected by Collins. Coleman Collins, of course, a leader for this team in so many ways. He's now going after his masters. And there you see, once again, a nice perimeter jump shot falling for the Demon Deacons. That's Jamie Skeen to make it an 8-0 game. Collins has lost his starting job. He's not been productive this year. Did not participate much in the preseason. He had some thigh bruise injury issues to deal with, and just mentally has not been into it. Now, a young man went through a great deal last year, the tragic loss of his father. There's A.D. Vasayo, and you know what he's going to do with it.
That's why he's in the game. He's in the game to shoot it, and that is a basket that the Hokies sorely needed.
This could be a game, though, don't you think, Dan, where Coleman Collins could really show up in a big way on the offensive end of the floor?
Coleman Collins playing inside against Weaver, who's the redshirt freshman, also going to be effective in attacking Kyle Visser, maybe getting Wake Forest big guy in some foul trouble. But yes, I think this is a potentially big game for Coleman Collins.
Drum gets the screen from Skeen. Smith off the bounce, running the curl. Long rebound to Dowdell. Virginia Tech looking to push. Stop and go by Dowdell. Oh, Davies with a smart move. The Floridian gets his first bucket.
Boy, Ishmael Smith moving very quickly, but he palms the basketball.
A point of emphasis.
Now watch this part of your screen down here, because what's going to happen is Coleman Collins is going to come over and he's going to get there to block the shot. This is what you call help defense. It's done very, very well by Mr. Collins.
Many of you will remember that this is a Virginia Tech team that not only Collins, but several other players were affected by a number of personal tragedies through the course of the year. It really became problematic for a team that had issues winning close games from the very beginning of last season. But this is a season where you've got those 5 seniors, particularly those backcourt players, Dan, and a lot is expected. Seth Greenberg believes this team should show up and be a part of the madness in the month of March.
A lot's expected, Tim, but an awful lot really rests on the shoulders of Coleman Collins. If he's going to struggle, then this team is going to struggle.
Williams, the ball fake, and he uses the glass nicely. L.D. Williams.
One thing that we've seen so far early from Wake Forest is they have shown good patience in the half-court offense. A couple of passes before they're launching the ball. The other night against DePaul, their offense basically was first guy down the court shoots, and you can't be effective that way unless you're going to make a lot of your shots.
Rosario taking it in himself, gathering the bump from L.D. Williams. Well, we talked to Seth Greenberg about a season ago, and it was very difficult, particularly in this glass house of his.
If someone would have said a year ago this was going to happen, I would say, no, I'd really feel bad for those kids, that coaching staff, to have to go through that experience. But again, that's one of life's lessons. You know, the hardest thing about last year was that we had to live through that in the fishbowl called the ACC.
Jamon Gordon with that deuce to make it a 10-7 game.
You know, Kyle Visser really has not handled the ball very much in this game for Wake Forest. Virginia Tech, thus far, has done a real good job keeping it away from him.
Nice defensive work by Washington. Last touch by Duran. Alan Callaway was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. He's still coming around, taking another class, I believe, online after graduating. Winton Witherspoon lost his mother, or actually was had his mother diagnosed with breast cancer. He has since transferred to GW. Sean Harris lost his grandmother who raised him. And, of course, we mentioned Coleman Collins. So a lot for a number of players on the Virginia Tech team to go through a season ago. Jermaine Dukes throws up an air ball. Vasayo retrieves it, gets it to Nigel Munson, one of the prolific freshmen who launches. Visser brings it down for Wake.
Well, in the half-court offense, Wake Forest has to get Visser more involved. When you're in a half-court set, I really think the big guy ought to touch the ball in scoring position before anybody else shoots.
Visser, defender. Lot of traffic, and then there you see the putback off the weak side. Jamie Steen, the 6'8" freshman from Charlotte's North Mecklenburg High School. Loose ball, Collins tries to save it. Right to Hale. And a rejection by Vasayo. Boy, Anthony Gurley thought he had a layup, and AD said no way.
Got to give that ball to your big guy.
Dan, it was about a year ago at this time. The Hokies opened their ACC season against top-ranked Duke on the road. You and I had the game down by a point late. Coleman Collins would have this incredible tip-in of Xavier Dowdell's errant shot. Thought he won the game. After a timeout, then Sean Dockery hit a 43-footer, the last guy on the floor that you thought would have taken that shot. They had J.J. Redick covered. Take a look at the reaction here by Coleman Collins. And I credit Lonnie Dale, our director, for hanging with this shot as long as he did. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. Yeah, they really never recovered from this, and it kind of started that landslide of close losses. And then the rest of the season, really, for Coleman Collins, he spent really feeling for and trying to nurse his father, who was terminally ill.
It was a very tough situation last year for the Hokies, and they lost 10 games by 5 points or less, and they were 14 and 16 overall. There's a fouling violation against Gurley. And it's just one of those things where just a few of those games turn out the other way. Now, that wasn't the most amazing close game they lost last year. To be perfectly honest with you, they lost the game 72-71 to Bowling Green on a tip-in at the buzzer, but the ball was tipped into the wrong basket by A.D. Vasayo. And the ball should not have counted because even though he tipped it before the buzzer, it didn't go in the basket before the buzzer, and it doesn't count as a shot if you're tipping it in the wrong basket. And so they lost that game. It was just unbelievable the kind of breaks they had last year.
They believe that karma should be on their side this year. Nice turnaround off the window.
Now, one of the things that's been on their side early in this game is Xavier Dowdell operating down inside. We talked about his strength and his size. There he picks off the errant pass intended for Kyle Visser.
Sales, Marcus Sales, finds a wide open Dowdell. Too strong. Hey, I'm very impressed with the way Wake Forest has played. Their intensity's been good early in this game. Skeen has come in and helped, as well as this young man, Gurley, Anthony Gurley. Jermaine Dukes in the game, along with Harvey Hale, the sophomore from Albuquerque.
Got to move the ball so you can get Kyle Visser open on the inside. Once again, this is the third time in this game the shot clock has run down on the deeps.
Skeen for three.
He is the second leading three-point shooter on this team. That is his second three of this game.
He may be the guy, one of the newcomers, Dan. He may be the one with the most potential.
He's been very up and down, but of course you expect that from some freshmen. But Skeen has 8 points already in this game.
Anthony Gurley with a push as Marcus Sales has flashed to the baseline. And Ishmael Smith will come back onto the floor, as will Kevin Swinton for the first time, number 23 for Wake Forest. Jermaine Dukes takes a seat.
Let's see if Virginia Tech goes back to trying to post Jamon Gordon up on the inside.
Oh, good call. You're a professional analyst, aren't you? Smith. Oh, what a move that was by Gurley. That was a sweet move by Gurley. Wonderful fake, and then he drove baseline.
Young man from Massachusetts came in fairly highly recruited by Wake Forest, and he just did not have a good preseason. But he had his best game of the season scoring-wise anyhow against DePaul. He scored 14 points in 14 minutes. Wake Forest, however, not a very good free throw shooting team. Only shoots 63% as a team.
Jukite has come back into the game. Shek Jukite replacing Coleman Collins. Sayo also taking a seat, as Witcher's come back onto the floor along with Dowdell, Gordon, and Sales.
There was a mistake by Ishmael Smith. He went over to the side, and he could have grabbed that ball, but he didn't. He thought it was off the Virginia Tech player. That's one of those things, if you can get the ball, get it. Don't rely on the referee to give it to you.
Sales. Nice run. You hear coaches oftentimes talk about needing that quality role player, the so-called glue guy, as Ishmael Smith is tagged, and that'll be a foul. Now that's what Sales is. He's really a glue guy coming off Seth Greenberg's bench. We're in Blacksburg, Virginia, Castle Coliseum. With 9:25 remaining, Wake Forest leading by 4. Ishmael Smith at the free throw line. Jim Brando, Dan Bonner, Dwayne Ballon. Happy to have you with us for ACC Sunday Night Hoops.
Now he's got 2 shots. But Ishmael Smith, very interestingly, Tim, is only a 43% free throw shooter. He's a 53% three-point shooter, but only shoots 43% from the line. His strength, obviously, in the assist department, though it's freshman leaders in the NCAA. Leads among all freshmen. Gets one of the 2 free throws.
As he gets stronger, and around this conference one time through, usually that first time through the ACC, you grow and mature. Now there are some knocks along the way. We witnessed that last week for Vasquez and company from Maryland, and they took on a veteran Boston College team. Dowdell way downtown. L.D. Williams with a quick outlet to Smith. He has numbers 3-on-2, but a nice defensive sequence for Virginia Tech. Visser from up top. Swinton on the glass. Count it.
Swinton, a young man who has played a total of 9 minutes in the last 2 games. He's a guy who can come off the bench, give you some defense and rebounding, and that's what he did right there, getting that offensive rebound, putting it back in. We talked about Virginia Tech having to win the rebound battle. You can see right there they are not. Jamon Gordon knocks down a three.
Big three for Gordon, and then on the right back, a good defensive play by Sales.
I think it was Jakite that got down.
Yep. And here's Dowdell running right at his man. That's going to be a foul. It'll be a two-shot violation.
That's Ishmael Smith. That's his second foul.
15 foul, Wake Forest.
Second foul on Smith. That was not a shooting violation, so Virginia Tech will trigger it in underneath their own basket.
Jakite did get that block. Kyle Visser, however, great job running the court for Wake Forest.
Dowdell will trigger it in. Dowdell almost had too much time to think about that shot.
He didn't catch the ball cleanly, Tim, and had to reset his feet. Man-to-man for the Hokies.
Drum with L.D. Williams, Swinton. Weavers come back onto the floor.
Well, you look at this lineup out there, not much offensively for Wake Forest.
Jermaine Dukes running the point. There's the alley-oop for Swinton. Could not convert. Coleman Collins interfered somewhat.
The pass may have been just a little too high.
And Collins goes down. Incidental contact, says Michael Kitts.
That's a bad break for Virginia Tech because Weaver got knocked down and then Collins tripped over him.
Timeout. Wake Forest by 4.
Sunday Night Hoops, Wake Forest leading Virginia Tech 18-14 in the first half. I'm Dwayne Bowell along with Dan Bonner and Tim Brando. These two teams are contrasts when it comes to the breakdown in classifications. Wake Forest, Skip Prosser says he feels like Mr. Rogers with 7 freshmen and 7 sophomores, just 2 seniors. And on the other end for Virginia Tech, they have 5 seniors on this squad. For the first time in the 4 years that Seth Greenberg is here, he's had more than 1 active senior on his roster, guys. So it presents an interesting scenario for both gentlemen.
Yeah, the time is now for Seth. And you discuss his team and looking at it short and long term, he understands that. For Skip Prosser, I believe he understands with this unit in the post-Chris Paul era and losing, of course, Justin Gray and Strickland and so many of the other guys from a season ago, he's beginning again. And certainly leaning on Kyle Visser to be a leader who has struggled somewhat tonight. And
well, he has, and to counteract that, Visser only 1 for 5. Xavier Dowdell only 1 for 7 for Virginia Tech.
yeah, he did an extra step.
See, with Visser on the bench and Ishmael Smith on the bench, Wake Forest really struggling to find some people who can score. And Dukes just got himself trapped down on the inside.
I should mention this, too, in talking with Skip Prosser today at the shoot-around, as both of us did. He made a point of coming over and saying, I like my team. I think he likes the way that their attention span is working for a young club. They seem to be, he calls Ishmael Smith a human sponge. He just takes everything in, and he's excited to coach a point guard that's got that kind of energy and enthusiasm. Masayo's leaner touches nothing, out of bounds to Wake Forest. Well, college football's greatest bowl games come to Fox, beginning with the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, followed by the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the FedEx Orange, All-State Sugar, concluding with the Tostitos PCS National Championship game with Florida and Ohio State. It all begins on New Year's Day on Fox. Thrum feeds and a foul. A thunderous move to the rack. But L.D. Williams was fouled as he took it in. Collins got it.
This is just a great backdoor cut. Watch here. Williams is going to take and just go to the basket. And the interesting thing about it is Deron Washington turned his head and looked at the ball. He lost his man completely, and Williams was all alone going to the goal. But again, Wake Forest, we mentioned they don't shoot free throws very well. They haven't shot free throws very well tonight. Right at the moment now, 1 of 5 are the Deacons from the line.
Jamon Garden coming back into the game, replacing A.D. Vasallo. Vasallo is still a bit of a work in process on the defensive end, the sophomore from Puerto Rico. And it was his play a year ago on the road that was a real difference maker in Virginia Tech's win at Winston-Salem.
Man-to-man defense for Wake Forest.
L.D. Williams trying to check Deron Washington in perpetual motion. Gets to the baseline and takes advantage that time. A lot of contact between those two right now. They're getting after one another quite a bit.
That's a trap.
And the veteran Washington gives him a bit of a stare down.
Wake Forest.
Virginia Tech making a bit of a run, down by just 2. And Wake Forest takes the timeout. We mentioned the play of A.D. Vasayo a year ago. Playing without Coleman Collins, Deron Washington saw a breakout performance from A.D. Vasayo in the game. The 6'6 forward, 29 and 10, including 4 or 5, Dan, from beyond the arc. The Hokies rallied from a 9-point deficit to get that very big 76-70 victory. At the time, they were suffocating. They needed to get a breath of fresh air, and Vasayo really provided it.
Yeah, Vasayo's one of those guys that his role on the team is to come in and shoot the ball. Now, when you're a shooter, it happens with every shooter. Sometimes the recoil is worse than the projectile, but that's what you have to live with as a coach.
Wally Walker didn't give you that one, did he? Just over 6 minutes to play. Collins popping out high. There's a nice dunk into Witcher. And fails to convert. Washington runs it down. Boy, he is proactive tonight. He is instigating a lot of offense for Virginia Tech, number 13 in white. A lot of it's off the ball. He's underneath the hoop now, and he's giving L.D. Williams all he wants and then some. Caldell's struggles continue. Drum on the run out. Gordon's on his hip. And Drum gets it to the rack. First bucket.
That was a very nice play by Drum. He recognized that Gordon was there and got in front of him and actually blocked Gordon off from the ball.
He's averaging 8.5 a game. Michael Drum, senior from Earl Hall, North Carolina. Transferred over from Presbyterian College, played at Division II level for a couple of seasons before joining up at Wake Forest. Drum's an outstanding shooter from the wing.
Virginia Tech continues to do a nice job playing in the passing lanes and keeping the ball out of the hands of Kyle Visser.
Well, that has been the story tonight so far. Just as we say it, Curtis Shaw spots a foul, I believe, before the shot was taken. The foul goes against Coleman Collins.
We mentioned Kyle Visser has struggled tonight. The defense against him has been pretty good. Loses the ball on this occasion, tries to dribble out of the crowd. Collins doing a very nice job staying in front. There, the ball's thrown over his head. Here, Chiquite blocks the shot. Visser only 1 for 5 thus far tonight.
Robert Krabendam has come into the game for the first time, number 14 in white. So they're putting as many bodies and potential fouls on Visser as they can.
Tim, that's a very good point. You bring in, you start with Chiquite, and he bangs against Visser, and then Coleman Collins bangs against Visser, and then Krabendam can bang against Visser. Make Kyle work very, very hard.
Deron Washington picked up the foul.
On the line, shooting the 1-1, 42, L.D. Williams.
And Deron sits down. A.D. Vasayo will be coming in just a moment.
Another miss from the line. Skeen is going to pick up the foul. The Deacons 1 for 7 from the free throw line.
First foul, 31, Jamie Skeen. That's his first 16th foul.
Jamie Skeen getting the foul. That's the 16th foul against the Deeks. Anthony Curley's come back into the game. Drum takes a seat.
Michael Drum.
That free throw line is a problem for both clubs, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And, you know, if you're going to try to steal one on the road in the Atlantic Coast Conference and you're fortunate enough to get to the free throw line frequently, you really need to convert those baskets.
Gordon has it slapped away by Skeen. Nice hustle play by Gurley. He was on the Ball was out of bounds. Gordon touched it.
Gordon had his hand on the ball, and
Yes,
he was out of bounds. But that is a couple of times in this game that Virginia Tech has lost the ball, either with a bad shot or with a turnover, trying to drive the ball into traffic. You want to be aggressive with the drive, but you have to make good decisions.
Skeen gets it inside to Visser over Krabendam.
Boy, Visser just too much for Krabendam.
On the run out, Gordon. What a play by Gordon. And you know, Wake did not do that bad of a job getting back defensively. He had to earn that one in every respect. 22-18. Skeen, Williams, Dukes, Gurley, and Visser on the floor for Wake Forest. Williams now stuck under. Basayo deflected that one. Reeled in by Krabendam. Outlet to Dowdell.
Excellent play by Duke, and Duke's in transition to knock that ball away.
Boy, these hustle plays by Wake Forest are keeping him in it. How about this whirling dervish? Courtesy Wake Forest with the lead. In a couple of weeks, ACC Sunday Night Hoops returns. We're going to take a week off for Christmas Eve, but we return with San Jose State battling 6th-ranked Duke. And then Dayton takes on 3rd-ranked North Carolina. Coverage begins December 31st with the college basketball tip-off show at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific here on FSN. And there are your Dillard's ACC men's basketball standings. Clemson continues as the lone unbeaten team. Oliver Purnell's club, I think probably nationally, is the mystery team coming out of the ACC.
I think in the ACC they're a mystery team. Nobody really knows what the Clemson Tigers are capable of doing, although they've got a veteran team and they've got a lot of athletic players. They're sort of perfectly suited to that style that Oliver Purnell likes to play. And they've got a game coming up here December the 28th. They play Georgia. It's a Georgia team that's pretty impressive yesterday, beating Gonzaga. So
that'll be a fun game for you. I know you're going to be working that game. Dowdell, again, boy, he is really struggling. He was looking for a foul that time, did not get the whistle. And a good no call by Curtis Shaw.
Actually, a very fine defensive effort thus far by Wake Forest. They've struggled defensively over these last 3 games, and they've suffered defeats.
Skeen trying to force it in again to Visser. Leads to another turnover.
Visser was open. He just didn't get the ball delivered to him.
Basayo on his own. Found the crease.
Basayo is not just an outside shooter. He is a big kid and can get the ball to the goal.
There's Wake Forest lead. It's now been whittled down to 2. Led by as many as 7. Gurley answers with a tray.
I think that's a mistake by Marcus Sales. You leave Gurley out there to double-team Visser when Visser's like by the free throw line. I don't think you need to double-team Visser at the free throw line. Gurley playing with more and more confidence for the Eagles.
Off the bounce that time. Skeen with a good defensive sequence for Wake Forest. Oh my. Yeah, that was a force again. As Visser was running the floor, Skeen airmailed it.
Timeout, Hokies.
Gurley is down here on the right, and watch as this play develops. You'll see Sales go over to double-team Visser, and that leaves Gurley all alone. You don't need to double-team Visser 16 feet from the basket. Visser's the kind of guy you want to pick him up down under the goal, but he does a nice job looking. And if you're going to double-team a big guy, Tim, you have to double-team him before he has a chance to turn and look. As soon as the guy has a chance to turn and look, particularly when he's has some experience, as does Visser, you can find the open guy.
And Gurley is a guy that has been struggling from downtown, only shooting a 16% clip coming in, but they knew it would get better. So he's dangerous from three-point range, and to just run away and leave him, probably not a good idea. 25-20 Wake, leading by 5 with 1:56 remaining.
But, Tim, it's not a bad idea because, as you mentioned, Gurley, he was only shooting as 16% from 3 coming in. But you don't run away and leave him to double-team Visser when Visser's near the top of the game.
Exactly, but they really figure that he will be a better shooter than that. A lot of times stats are deceiving both positively and negatively before you get into conference play. Shooters sometimes go into slumps, but when they come out, look out.
Well, Mark Twain once said there are lies, damned lies in statistics. So he would agree with you.
I think it's one of the most overblown things in college athletics. Stats before you get into your conference. Oh, there's a hit pocket by Dowdell.
That's going to be called an intentional foul.
And Skip Prosser can't believe it. And neither does Michael Drum.
Well, Drum grabbed him. Lost the ball.
His second foul.
Again, takes the ball right at the defender and then just grabs him right on the arms.
Yeah. I think Skip Prosser is upset that he believes the intent was to go for the ball.
He said he reached for the ball,
Yeah.
but he didn't come anywhere close to getting the ball. And that was clear to the referee standing right there at half court that if Drum does not do that, Dowdell has an easy basket.
That's the second foul on Drum, too, just before the half. Harvey Hale checks in for him. So Dukes, along with Skeen, Gurley, Visser, and Harvey Hale now on the floor.
That's a hard thing for an official to judge intent out there. Skip is over there saying he was trying to get the ball, but he didn't come anywhere close to getting the ball. He grabbed him by the arm.
Robin Dom trying to set the pick, and he rolls to the wing for the shot. Look at this. And there's going to be a push. Shaw spots Skeen with the foul underneath against Vasayo.
The first foul, 31, Jamie Skeen. That's his second. And that's the 18th foul on Wake Forest.
Different angle on that call before. You can see the Drum dribbles it off his leg, but the mistake he makes is going into the crowd there, and he just grabs him right on the arm. And that the referee is standing to Dowdell's left. And what he sees is Drum dive on the floor and just simply grab him by the arm. Now you're in a period of the game where this is a very, very difficult test for a Wake Forest team that has played very well throughout the first half. The young team, they've had a couple of calls go against them now on the road. And Vasayo cuts the lead to 1. So you've got a minute and 12 seconds left in the half. If you're Skip Prosser, your team has played very well up to this point. But now, how do they react to this adversity? And that's what playing in the ACC is really all about, reacting to adversity on the road.
Absolutely. Gordon with a near pick.
But Visser got lucky.
Visser overcrowded down, rejected by Washington, count the basket.
See, now that's when you need to double team Visser. They gave Visser the opportunity to dribble the ball and spin into the lane. You've got to be there when Visser has that first dribble. Now watch dribble. Visser dribbles the ball. The defender Sales doesn't get there until after the dribble. Visser recognizes very well that's a great pivot. Referee's not normally going to let a guy standing under the basket just swat it away. That was a very effective answer by Wake Forest. Go to your veterans when you're in trouble.
Washington coming up for the rebound, goes over the back. Coming up at halftime. We'll have highlights from other games, plus a look back at one of Wake's greatest players, Tim Duncan. Dan and I will recap first half highlights and stats, all on the Acura halftime report.
Now Harvey Hale trying to get to the free throw line, and that's a pretty good move by Hale. He's an 82% free throw shooter. Williams only 57%. There's Ryan Odom.
And of course, we'll be hearing from Dave Odom, who coached Duncan at Wake Forest a bit later on. Interesting to note that Ryan is on Seth Greenberg's staff, along with his brother, Brad Greenberg, associate head coach, Stacy Palmore, Rick Hall, Ryan Odom. Skip Prosser has one of the really outstanding second lieutenants on his staff, too. Dino Gaudio has been around the block, has been a head coach in the past. The rest of his staff, Jeff Battle, Pat Kelsey, played for him at Xavier.
But a 2-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock.
Dowdell. Well, it's been a tough first half for Savion Dowdell, and he hasn't played well lately. Maybe this can ignite him a bit going into the second half.
One of the things that Dowdell has looked for consistently in this game is that lane to the basket, and he finds it right there. Very interesting to know, gets that head and shoulders past Dukes, and then just simply jumps over Gurley. Got to get there a little quicker if you're Gurley.
Wake Forest has managed to maintain a lead, and as you mentioned, there were a couple of minutes here in the last 5 or so of the first half where they battled through some adversity. Almost always it's been a three-point shot that has helped maintain what has been, for the most part, at least a 2-possession lead. They'll get the last shot here. Visser on the blocks, double. Stays with it and draws the foul.
Visser is really strong inside. That was, first of all, a tough catch. And then you don't often see big guys dribble the ball in traffic as effectively as he did right there. Jamon Gordon got in, was not able to knock it away. Now Wake has had a problem all afternoon on the free throw. It's a very difficult catch. That ball's sailing out of bounds, but he catches it now. Even with Jamon Gordon there, he dribbles the ball, but he dribbles it away from Gordon and then is able to pivot back into Krabendunk.
Would you agree one of the reasons why Visser is so much better this year is simply because he knows he's got to get his minutes? He was never sure how many minutes he would get before now.
I think there's no question that he's got much more opportunity this year, and he knows that they really don't have any depth behind him. But I think also he worked very hard in the offseason.
Yes, he did.
I think he also knows that this is his last year, and you can see first 3 years and then this year. A lot of that has to do with confidence and maturity, in addition to maybe some more minutes on the court.
This should be a Jamon Gordon solo. A little too much intensity, and he could not catch the rim.
Boy, and Seth Greenberg's got to be really, really careful.
He felt there was
Locker room's
contact.
the other way.
Yeah, he felt there was contact, and he's letting Gary Maxwell know about it, and Michael Kitts. Let's go over to Dwayne Ballin. Dwayne?
Coach Prosser, it was a somewhat sluggish first half. You held off Virginia Tech. You lead at 31-27.
I didn't think it was that sluggish.
You like what you saw?
Well, I mean, it's an ACC game. It's going to be hard fought. Not going to be a work of art every time. Two good teams trying to get a win.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right. When we return, the Acura halftime report with highlights from other games, plus a look at one of Wake's greatest players, Tim Duncan. You're watching ACC Sunday Night Hoops. We welcome you back to Castle Coliseum. Tim Brando, Dan Bonner, and our Dwayne Ballin has a report. Dwayne?
Tim, I just spoke with Seth Greenberg, Virginia Tech's head coach, and he said they did not play smart offensively in the first half. He felt they settled for some very bad shots, allowed Wake Forest's pressure defense to bother them just a little too much. He told his players, we have to play smart on the defensive end, but we also have to play smart on the offensive end.
Yeah, and I also think this, Dan, he's looking for leadership from Gordon and Dowdell. Now, Jamon did have 9 points in the first half. He turned it over 3 times, though. Dowdell 2 for 10, and on many an occasion really forced it on the offensive end.
Coleman Collins here starting the second half. He played 10 minutes in the first half without scoring a point, and he picks up an offensive foul right there. And I think this is a move by Seth Greenberg, inserting Coleman Collins into the game to start the second half. Seth Greenberg knows that Coleman Collins has to be productive for this team to reach its full potential.
Visser. Nice move.
He has tremendous strength in his hands. I don't know when is the last time I've seen a big guy be able to dribble the ball in traffic and keep it like Visser can.
Gordon in the lane, falling away. Got the feed from Deron Washington.
Gordon's got 11 points in the game now, and most of them have been those close to the basket kind of shots. Little turnaround jumpers in the lane.
Wake Forest, from an offensive standpoint, I think they were able to maximize in the first half, Dan, given the fact that Virginia Tech had concentrated so much on taking Kyle Visser away. Just to maintain a lead was important to them on the road. There's Visser left wide open.
That's not Visser's shot. He's not really a jump shooter from out there.
Lewis Witcher with the rebound, the freshman from Rocky Mount, Virginia.
Another turnover.
Yeah, and that's been a problem. Rushing it, I think you said it 5 minutes into the game, you felt Virginia Tech was rushing it a bit, and I think that's still going on here in the second half.
As you prepare for a game, Williams picks up the foul. I think, well, Williams was the person fouled. I think Jamon Gordon fouled him. But you go into a game and you think, okay, we can do certain things against this team. And I think Virginia Tech came into this game feeling like they could drive the ball to the basket against Wake Forest. And so if you do that and focus on that, sometimes you lose the rest of the elements of your offense. And I thought early in the game, that's what happened to Virginia Tech. They drove the ball to the basket. They took some really, really tough shots. And then after that, they weren't able to find any offensive rhythm.
Ishmael Smith on the wing. Out of bounds. It belongs to Wake Forest.
But Visser is a load on the inside. Virginia Tech had 3 guys around the ball, but they were trying to keep Visser away from it. Then Deron Washington ended up knocking it out.
Kyle Visser had a wonderful freshman campaign, then had a sophomore slump. Did not get as many minutes early. There's a foul against Collins as Visser takes it right back at him again.
That's 4 fouls on Coleman Collins. Collins has that arm right against Kyle Visser, and you simply can't do that. You can't put your forearm on the guy's back and just leave it there. And that's exactly what he does.
So he'll be on the pine for quite some time after getting the start here in the second half. And Michael Drum with a little hang time.
You expect Drum to stand outside and shoot the ball. You don't expect him with that little quick move through the lane.
Lead out to 6. Witcher trying to set up Jamon Gordon. There's a nice pass to Kite. Was unable to bring it in. Good idea, though, by Gordon. There's that turnaround shot again. Kite trying to keep it alive. It's pulled out of there once again by the L.D. Williams. Another steal. That time Smith got caught in the air, and Washington with the pilfer. Dowdell is fouled. Well, coming up after our game, Pac-10 basketball returns to FSN. The 12th ranked LSU Tigers out of the SEC battle Oregon State. It's the first of 2 big ones on the road against Pac-10 opponents for John Brady's club. They'll be playing Washington later in the week.
You see Xavier Dowdell has really struggled from the field, only 2 of 10.
That is a concerned Seth Greenberg.
His team just simply has never been able to establish any kind of rhythm in the game. Generally, Tim, the way you establish rhythm is the guys play together, they move the ball. And Virginia Tech in that first half, they had 10 field goals, but only 3 assists. So not a lot of passing leading to baskets.
I was going to say a lot of dribbling in the first half. Visser with Chiquite on his back, gives it up. L.D. Williams, an air ball.
That was a great job by Chiquite to push Visser away from his comfort zone in the low post.
Off the ball, Curtis Shaw spots a little body movement. Weaver moving up. I believe Weaver was doing most of the pushing there. David Weaver, the redshirt freshman from Black Mountain, North Carolina.
Xavier Dowdell is going to set the screen, and here's Dowdell.
You think he pushed just a little?
It's hard for a guy Weaver's size to see Dowdell.
L.D. Williams and Deron Washington still getting with it a little bit. Now Michael Kitts comes over to talk to him just a bit.
Well, now if you're Deron Washington, the last thing you want to be doing out there is debating with the referees. That's like arguing with your wife. You're just never going to win.
How did you know that about us?
Boy, Dowdell sets another screen in there.
Kite Kikite off the back iron. Visser blocks out against Witcher.
You know, I think if you're Wake Forest, you're going to let Kikite take that turnaround jumper from 10 feet just about the entire game.
Drum hesitates. I think that caused the problem for him. Instead of launching immediately, Dowdell. Nice work to Witcher. Very athletic big man, Lewis Witcher, has given Seth Greenberg another option when Coleman Collins is not available. And the lead is 3 now for Wake Forest. Marcus Sales is getting ready to check in on the next dead ball for the Hokies.
Crowd starting to get involved here.
Drum trying to get it into Skeen. Knocked away by Virginia Tech. Timeout. Better than 4 minutes gone here in the second half. Wake Forest lead is a precarious one. Down to 3 in Blacksburg. 35-32, Wake leads by 3. Now there's a new network that will cover one of the real prestigious conferences in this country of ours. From football to basketball and everything in between. Now you can see the Big Ten's best. All on one channel, the Big Ten Network, coming August of 2007. Take a look at the Dillard scoring leaders among active ACC players. We got a good look at Jared Dudley against Maryland last week at this time. Xavier Dowdell right there. Jamon Gordon only 6 points away from the 1,000-point plateau. Figures to get that here in the second half in the remaining 15-plus minutes.
And you've got 8 guys there, and 3 of them are on this Virginia Tech team. There's Jamon Gordon sitting on the bench, taking a short breather.
Kite now is bodying up on Visser, getting a little bit of help. And Skip Prosser wanted the foul, did not get it. Dowdell, high arching over Visser. There's the follow. Oh, the iron unkind. Pulled down by Skeen.
Boy, Seth Greenberg just head in his hands over there because that was a tremendous opportunity.
There's a deflection by Witcher, but it's saved by Skeen for Wake Forest. Marcus Sales, a tough defender. Shot clock under 10. Ishmael Smith, he's the guy you want to have it. Drum. That one doesn't draw. It may have been deflected. Dowdell got over there to get a hand in Drum's face.
Now Virginia Tech has had a couple of stops in a row now with this lead at 3. They have not been able to convert and cut into it.
Fans wanted a foul with Drum going over to Kite's back. It's out of bounds, controlled with Virginia Tech. Yeah, you begin to wonder as this game progresses, Dan, how Wake Forest, this young team of Skip Prosser's, is going to be able to react once Virginia Tech seizes the lead. Now, they've been able to stop these runs and manage to hold on to 2-possession leads for the bulk of this game. That's a 5-second violation as Gordon fails to get it in. Well, those kinds of mistakes have really been the issue tonight, and you can smell the intensity level of this crowd ready to explode if they can ever get a lead.
Well, even if you can't smell the intensity level of the crowd, those pictures of Seth Greenberg, you can see his intensity level.
And there's Visser again, a quality feed to the post, and Visser knows what to do with it. He's in double-figure scoring again.
One of those things, you know Wake Forest is going to try to throw it in there, and Virginia Tech, for the most part, has done a pretty good job defending against Visser. Visser just keeps working and catching the ball.
9 consecutive games in double figures. Lewis Witcher counters for Virginia Tech. Lewis Witcher.
And that's one thing, particularly with Collins being ineffective today, that Virginia Tech has not been able to do, and that is attack inside with their big guys.
A.D. Vasayo coming in.
Now, when you're talking about attacking inside, the area that you're talking about is down. Look how that side is underneath the basket area is completely opened up for Visser.
Just over 6 minutes gone by here in the second half. Wake leading by 3. Tim Brando, Dan Bonner, Dwayne Ballin. Happy to have you with us. Vasayo Witcher, Marcus Sales, Jamon Gordon, and Shep Jikite.
Another opportunity with a 3-point deficit for the Hokies to get within one or tie.
5 on the floor for Virginia Tech. Sales with nice dribble penetration and a quality feed. Smith going to the other end. And just before he launches a shot, Skip Prosser gets a quick timeout. Seth Greenberg's team now clawing to within one. You think there's a bit more pressure on the homestanding coach? I'd say so, wouldn't you? The Demon Deacons lead it by 1 with 13:22 remaining. Don't forget, ACC Sunday Night Hoops draws a bye on Christmas Eve, so join us in a couple of weeks for a New Year's Eve doubleheader. First at 1 Eastern, 10 Central, Greg Paulus, Josh McRoberts at number 6 Duke hosts San Jose State. Followed at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, by Taylor Hansbrough. And number 3 North Carolina, they'll take on Dayton. Join us for a New Year's Eve twin bill of ACC Sunday Night Hoops, where it's nighttime all the time. I've got relatives in California that say, well, did you say nighttime hoops? Wake Forest triggers it in. Looking for Visser always in this offense. Shemaine Dukes, Drum. Anthony Gurley's checked into the game to go along with Jamie Skeen for Wake Forest. 5 on the floor for Skip Prosser.
Man-to-man defense. And Wake Forest has not done well throughout this game at the end of the shot clock.
Skeen on the wing. And the rebound hauled in by Shep Jikite.
That's a great block out on the inside by Jikite. Now the Hokies with an opportunity to take the lead.
Nice runner. Very nice runner. Well, you touched on it, Dan. Not just a perimeter player. He can put it on the deck and make it happen. Now we'll see how Wake reacts. This young team trailing for the first time.
Boy, Jikite and Visser are really, really battling one another down on the inside.
This crowd had been waiting for a lead, and they got one. It's the first lead change of the day, and a foul spotted off the ball against Gordon. 6-0 run by Virginia Tech may end. You see David Weaver coming back onto the floor. Visser will get a breather. And also checking in L.D. Williams.
One of those breathers that Visser has to have. He is really fighting inside against multiple guys. And so they can't leave him over there very long because they really don't have any offense on the inside with Visser on the bench.
Doing it just prior to a automatic timeout that comes at the 12-minute mark, too, on a dead ball situation. So buying a few extra moments, if possible, for Visser. Hasn't scored in almost 3 minutes. Oh, the reversal. Sweet move. Well done by Anthony Gurley, freshman from Newton North High, Boston, Mass.
That was a tough, tough shot. He had an open three-pointer and passed it up, dribbled into a lot of trouble, but was nonetheless able to convert.
Vasayo just sort of threw that one up from the hip.
That's that recoil we talked about.
And off the ball, Jikite is tagged with a foul. 11:21 remaining. Wake Forest surrendered the lead briefly, but had the answer. We'll return to Blacksburg in a moment. Tim Brando, Dan Bonner, Dwayne Ballin. Let's take a look at our Dodge game summary. And though Visser had difficulty getting the ball, once he did, he was able to make good from it.
Tim, remember, he started 1 of 5 shooting field goals. You can see now 5 of 11. Jamon Gordon has scored some tough baskets on the inside for Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest shooting almost 50% from the field, and the Hokies of Virginia Tech at only 37%. That has not helped the Virginia Tech cause.
Stick-to-itiveness really comes into play. You talk about a veteran player. He's still on the bench coming out of the timeout. Gordon with a near pick that time. Ishmael Smith got away with one. He was airborne when he tried to deliver that pass to the wing. And Robert Cromendon will come into the game. Sales leaves. Jakite leaves. Also coming onto the floor, Dowdell again. So it's Vasayo, Cromendon, Dowdell, Naron Washington, and Jamon Gordon on the floor for Virginia Tech. L.D. Williams facing Vasayo.
Man-to-man defense for Virginia Tech.
Shot clock under 5. Outstanding defensive sequence on the run out. Gordon, yes, and a foul. Smith is very quick. He thought he had enough hops to catch up with Jamon Gordon, but this all began with Vasayo's defense.
That's a great defensive play by Vasayo, and Gordon is clearly ahead of the pack, and there's no way, if you're Ishmael Smith, that you're going to block Jamon Gordon. Gordon, about 6'3" or so, and he can really jump, and he's very, very strong. And that was a disaster waiting to happen for Ishmael Smith, and now Virginia Tech with a chance to go up by 2. I don't know, they've been up by 2.
No, they have not. Yeah, they've not.
Of course, they're not. Gordon goes to the line where he was 4 of 13 on the season, now 4 of 14. And he's limping. Jamon Gordon is limping out there.
Kevin Swinton's on the floor now, posting up along with Visser. Now they switch sides along the block. Cromendon trying to front Visser. 5 on the shot clock. Early. Washington the rebound. Gordon looking to push. Dowdell. He's fouled. Smith again in position. I believe that foul will go against L.D. Williams instead. It is Smith. It is his 4th personal foul. So Smith will be forced to sit down.
Well, we talked about Smith earlier in the game. In fact, you know, we mentioned that he was the leader in freshmen, among freshmen in assists. He's only 1 assist tonight, 2 turnovers. And part of that is he's playing on the road against a couple of veteran guards who are as good as any guards in the Atlantic Coast Conference. He's got to go to the bench now with those 4 fouls.
We've got a lot of time remaining for them to be without him. 10+ minutes. We talked about that adversity, how you deal with it, Dan. We're about to find out because Shemaine Dukes, Hale, and others are going to have to give some quality playing time to Skip Prosser. Hale with the ball now, giving it up to Visser.
I think in this situation they're going to have to get some offense from Gurley. Boy, Visser is calling for the basketball.
Hale finally dumped
Too late.
Shot clock at 3.
Right there, you.
And a bailout foul that time. Naron Washington on the baseline. Got a little too physical. And there were 3 seconds left on the shot clock when this foul was committed.
16 foul.
Washington, an expert at drawing the charge. I think they actually called the foul for him pushing off against Kyle Visser. The whistle had already blown by the time he had that contact.
And Wake Forest returns the favor.
Now we're going to get a foul on Swinton.
Clearing out with that right arm of his. 15 foul against Wake, so it's a 3-point game. Virginia Tech with 9.5 remaining. Gurley comes out of the game. Michael Drum checking back in for Skip Prosser.
Now Wake Forest, which has led most of the game, now has to dig in on the defensive end.
Consecutive losses to Air Force, Georgia, and DePaul. And now another foul, this one against Shemaine Dukes. Let's go over to Dwayne Ballin. Dwayne?
Gordon was just taken to the locker room. We're following the situation, but obviously, guys, he's an emotional leader out here, a senior leader, and he's been a key in turning things around. Don't know how they'll function without him if he doesn't come back.
Yeah, well, you noticed he was limping a few sequences ago.
I think he hurt his knee when he went up for that dunk where he got fouled by Ishmael Smith.
Robin trying to set a pick for Sales. Washington for three.
Wake Forest went into a triangle and two defense, trying to guard Visayo and Dowdell man-to-man, and everybody else playing zone, and Deron Washington made him pay.
Timeout, Wake. Virginia Tech with a 13-2 run in the last 5 minutes. We get this holiday crowd on its feet here at Castle Coliseum. When you think about it, two of the veteran players on this team, Coleman Collins with 4 fouls early here in this second half. After starting the second half, Gordon out of the game, who had been their leader throughout much of this game, Dan. They're getting it from different places now offensively, this Hokies team.
Xavier Dowdell, I think, has really picked up his play, and Deron Washington just made a big shot. Washington is a junior, and we talked about A.D. Visayo earlier. Visayo, the sophomore, provided a spark off the bench in the first half and has provided the same thing here during this stretch that you were talking about, a 13-2 run by Virginia Tech.
And you know, Seth Greenberg has no problem going with a lineup at any time that includes Marcus Sales. He knows the floor balance will always be good. He knows he'll give it up. Number 24 is a real unsung player for Virginia Tech on both ends of the floor.
It's on the defensive end over the last few minutes that Virginia Tech has really made a stand.
They have forced Wake Forest to dig into that shot clock. Visser cutting the hoop. That's a block against Washington.
This is a nice job by Visser to cut to the basket. He's just going to go straight down the lane, and Washington tries to get in position.
Well, that's very big because that's 4 fouls on Deron Washington.
We mentioned Washington, a guy that really specializes in drawing that charge.
They got to get him out. Witcher will return for him. Collins with 4. Now Washington sits with 4. And as we mentioned, Ishmael Smith is out. There's Washington's mother, who was forced to move after Hurricane Katrina. She was, that's Denise. She was teaching in the lower 9th Ward, has since moved here, made this her home. I was told earlier today by some people here at Virginia Tech they thought she had received a real estate license, was active in the community. Of course, Deron's dad, Lionel Washington, the outstanding Tulane football player and pro, and assistant coach in the NFL. Robin runs down the rebound and a reach-in foul. Down goes against Dukes. And let's go back over to Dwayne, who's got more on Denise Washington.
Tim, she played college basketball at Xavier, and Deron told me earlier today she was a post player. So naturally, they played against each other in the driveway. And he said his mother had a way of using a well-placed elbow to make him realize what was going on the court.
He's gotten caught with a few of those elbows tonight. She was at Xavier of New Orleans. You're right, Dwayne, so an athletically gifted family across the board from Deron's point of view. And I know it makes it all the more special for him to have her here. Robin Dom with his first point of the game cannot convert with the second shot. 46-40. Hokies equaling their largest lead over Wake Forest.
Virginia Tech has just taken control of this game on the defensive end.
Fisher. That's another block. Boy, he is absolutely fouling out
Gordon will
Virginia
go back
Tech.
Tell the guys, he'll go back in.
.746 remaining. Hokies have the lead. 46-40, Virginia Tech with the lead, 7:46 remaining. Sports Ultimate Nightly Highlight Show is here, the FSN Final Score. Every great highlight, unforgettable moment every night on FSN. The only national show that gives you nothing but wall-to-wall highlights, the FSN Final Score, nightly at 10:30 on FSN. Well, Dan, let's get your scouting report, and some of that, a lot of that has come to fruition for both teams.
Well, Wake Forest really hasn't tried to be the speed demons today, but they have been able to score 15 points off 9 Virginia Tech turnovers. They have struggled from the line for Virginia Tech. Gordon and Dowdell, those veterans, have 23 points. However, you notice that we talked about the importance for Virginia Tech of getting the extras, but it's Wake Forest that's getting the extra opportunities.
Kyle Visser is only a 53% free throw shooter. Both he and Ishmael Smith, the point guard, figure to be fouled quite a lot and need to improve at the free throw line if they're to win close games this year. 46-42.
Now with this lineup in the game for Virginia Tech, you'd expect the scoring to come from Vasayo and Dowdell.
Right on cue, Vasayo. His dad played professionally for 17 years, native of Puerto Rico. Visser, and he just schooled.
And you can't stay on the hip of Visser. Visser just using his strength very, very effectively in this game.
Vasayo curl, feeding counting, and the foul.
And that is a great job by A.D. Vasayo. The last time down the court, he comes off that play and scores the basket. That gets the attention of the defense. Watches the defense, runs to him. Visser goes to him. Krabendam is open. An excellent pass. Skeen does not get over in time to help, and Krabendam has a chance to give the Hokies their largest lead.
Well, this could be a real strong moment in the young career of the redshirt sophomore from the Netherlands, with Coleman Collins saddled with foul difficulties for keeping on the bench as well. Krabendam with some offense, which has to be considered gravy at this stage for Seth Greenberg. 50-44 Hokies. Hale.
That's a great rebound.
Or was it ever? I believe he was fouled on the way up, too. Krabendam may have gotten him again. Had him hooked. So Robert Krabendam picks up the foul, and we're in the bonus. Third foul against Krabendam.
Ishmael Smith on the bench. He went out at the 10-15 mark.
Shooting the 1-1.
Very important that Wake Forest maintain contact without him on the floor, and they've been able to do that in large measure by making sure they get Kyle Visser to the free throw line, and then
Visser's been converting.
Yes.
You mentioned not a solid free throw shooter, but he's been converting in this second half.
I think we may have
got a clock issue.
An issue with the clock. Very quickly, Gary Maxwell and Curtis Shaw over to take care of the matter. Meanwhile, L.D. Williams is going to check in for Wake Forest, replacing Harvey Hale.
The referees carry those little packs on their belts where they can start and stop the clock, and I think that may have been a problem that the clock did not start in a timely manner.
You can see the shooting the Hokies eating up here in the second half.
Gordon back in the ball game.
Vasayo, Krabendam, Dowdell, Jamon Gordon on the floor for Virginia Tech. That's right where Gordon would like to get it. Halfway down the cylinder and out. He's still limping. You can really notice it when he goes back on the defensive end.
And Sales is coming up, and he's going to come in the game. Virginia Tech has gotten back into this game on the defensive end. And as good a player as Jamon Gordon is, you can't have a one-legged Jamon Gordon playing out there.
He's a liability on this end. You see him around the lane, just sort of hopping around, trying to keep up with Michael Drum. There he is.
That is a tough shot.
You know, not a bad idea, though, to go after the injured defender, which Drum did. Now, that was a teardrop that managed to fall. Still, they looked at that matchup with Gordon hobbling.
But see, now if you're Drum, you can play way off Gordon and help out, because in his condition, I don't think he's going to be able to get to the basket. Back to that triangle, and two go the Demon Deacons. Williams is guarding Vasayo man-to-man. Dukes is guarding Dowdell man-to-man. Everybody else is playing zone.
Robindown for three. Oh, my. Witcher, that's going to be a foul against Visser. Check that. It is Visser, and Witcher was trying to get position, was ripped away.
So Jamon Gordon is really, that's a game effort by Gordon trying to move, but you can see his mobility very limited. And you always know when a guy goes up the court, the offensive end limping, you always know he's really hurt, because guys usually limp going back on defense, but they recover as soon as their team gets the ball.
Lewis Witcher. Unable to connect. Those problems at the line roll on, and Vasayo is tagged with a foul.
We have mentioned on a couple of occasions that Wake Forest isn't a particularly good free throw shooting team, but they actually shoot a better percentage than Virginia Tech.
Yes, they do.
There's Jamon Gordon on the bench. Jamie Skeen is now going to go to the free throw line, and Skeen is actually one of the better free throw shooters.
77%
for the Deeks.
When you're trying to get out of the lower division of a quality conference, the area where you can improve most is likely to be the free throw line. Certainly in the case of Wake Forest, they know where they finished a year ago. They need to improve right here, particularly if you're going to get a road win. And any road win in the Atlantic Coast Conference has got to be considered, as we sometimes say as a cliche, a steal on the road. And that's really what it is. Coleman Collins replaces Provendam, who gets a nice ovation from the crowd. Oh,
very kind roll right there.
Yes, indeed. 50-49. Wake by one. And this, maintaining contact with their starting point guard, Ishmael Smith, on the bench for better than 6 minutes with foul difficulty.
Again, this is a defensive setup that they're going to have to get some help from Coleman Collins on the inside.
Zion not there. Sails the offensive rebound, and Dukes reaches in. Let's go over to Dwayne Ballard.
Timmy, Jamon Gordon is done. He has a sprained right knee. His right shoe is off. You see his knee is now wrapped. So they will not have his services for the balance of this game. He tried, but he just couldn't go.
And if Jamon Gordon is sitting down, you know that that has to be very painful, because he is one of the toughest guys in this conference.
He's the leader of this team, heart and soul of the club. And, of course, the holiday period coming up is important. They get a bit of a break, and then the conference season begins in earnest after the first of the year. They're going to need Jamon Gordon. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Senior from Jacksonville, Andrew Jackson High. Downs control to Virginia Tech. This could be a productive trip. They lead by 2 with 4:43 to play, and now Ishmael Smith checks back into the game, replacing Dukes, who picked up that last foul.
That was a break for Virginia Tech. That free throw was missed so badly that Jamie Skeen just simply could not block out Coleman Collins.
Ball was deflected by Skeen. Timeout called by Seth Greenberg. Well, coming up after our game, we mentioned it earlier, LSU. Team in last year's Final Four, John Brady's club, on the road to take on Oregon State. The Beavers playing much better this year for Jay John. Coverage begins right here on FSN immediately following our game. Well, we talked about those close losses and your warning track power. This is another one of those moments.
Right, we talked about the Hokies having warning track power. They get close, but they just can't hit the ball out of the park. These are their 3 losses this year, each one of them by 5 points or less. This loss, however, would be very devastating if Wake Forest can get the win here and give Virginia Tech the loss, because it's a home game in the conference. You can see Seth Greenberg's team's playing an awful lot of close games.
3 losses this year. A grand total of 9 points. This is one outstanding coach. Tutored early in his career at Fairleigh Dickinson, a 78 grad, played for the legendary Al Balbo, longtime friend and colleague for years of little Louis Carnesecca in the 5 boroughs of New York.
Coming out of that timeout, Wake Forest goes back to a man-to-man defense. L.D. Williams, the freshman, matched up against Visayo.
Shot clock down to 6.
He's shooting.
Oh, he gave it up. And Dowdell was fouled. And that's a bailout in a lot of respects, too, because Dowdell was not in great position. And that's number 5 on Smith. A real freshman error. The shot clock winding down, and I believe he was a little bit too far under the basket to really get the shot he wanted.
Well, there's Dowdell right there. And Dowdell does a great thing. He just goes to the basket. Tim, I think he was in great position to make a play. And that is everybody out there thought what I thought, and that is Visayo's taking the ball all the way to the goal. So that was an excellent play by Visayo.
It obviously surprised Smith. He's very disappointed with himself, and Skip Prosser chatting with him now along with Pat Kelsey. I actually thought, upon looking at it the first time, that Dowdell was a bit under the basket. But that view, as you saw it, he was in position to score. Maybe that was just a giveaway. Go ahead and let Dowdell get his bucket.
What the freshman is being told, that regardless of the situation, you don't leave Xavier Dowdell. You don't leave one of the top guards in the Atlantic Coast Conference in that situation. If Visayo's going to make a tough shot, fine. Let him make a tough shot.
Hokies by 4 with under 4 remaining. And they're without their point guard. L.D. Williams driving. He's fouled by Marcus Sales as he drove the baseline.
Fouls number 24, Marcus Sales. That's his first.
A.D. Visayo's book would be to have taken that shot, but the freshman was lost. Got Dowdell on the arm, and he's done for the night. Alongside Dwayne Ballin and Dan Bonner, Tim Brando, happy to have you with us here at Castle Coliseum. So with Smith out, the point guard for Wake Forest, obviously the possessions become more difficult on the offensive end. What do you expect to see as they try to claw their way back?
I think if you're Wake Forest, you've got to get the ball inside to Kyle Visser. Visser's the guy that has been your offensive anchor all season long, and I think he's got to be as we go down the stretch. And for Virginia Tech, I think you're going to see the ball in the hands of A.D. Visayo, in the hands of Xavier Dowdell. Deron Washington now back on the court. Washington gives them an added offensive threat that'll make them a little bit more difficult to guard, the Hokies of Virginia Tech, that is. And for Wake Forest, I think if they're going to win the game, they're going to need guys other than Kyle Visser to make plays, and L.D. Williams has the opportunity from the free throw line right here.
Just in case you're a Wake Forest fan and you're wondering, what about the possibility of overtime on the road? Deron Washington and Coleman Collins, 2 pivotal players for Virginia Tech, each have 4 fouls.
Got to make free throws, however, for Wake Forest if you're going to get it to overtime.
11 of 21 at the stripe. The Demon Deacons, a little bit better than 50%.
There's L.D. Williams. He just missed the 2 free throws down on the one end, and on the other end, he gives away a foul to A.D. Visayo, and A.D. Visayo is an 85% free throw shooter.
Again, freshman errors. And L.D. Williams is one of those youngsters that's just not been consistent, which is what you're striving for from a coaching standpoint with a young team. Find some level of consistency, and that's Skip Prosser bringing him out of the game for the moment.
But with a young team, what you're going to get is inconsistency.
Oh, my. 2 bad misses by Visayo. And he, as you mentioned, is one of the better free throw shooters that Virginia Tech has at 85%.
Well, now Wake Forest has as many veterans in the game as they can have. They've got their 2 seniors, a couple of sophomores to go along with the freshman scheme.
Who's really impressed me tonight. Boy, he is a tough kid, brings a physical presence, a slashing ability as well. Dukes in traffic, loses at the Sales. The run out to Washington. How many times does the blue guy, Marcus Sales, make a play down the stretch for you? Timeout. Skip Prosser.
The half-court defense by Virginia Tech has been excellent in the second half, and Sales just does a nice job moving his feet and getting himself in front of Dukes as Dukes drives to the basket. And there's Deron Washington. We mentioned he's been sitting on the bench, but he is a guy who has excellent recognition out there on the court. He sees the steal, and he's taken off, getting the easy basket. And Skip Prosser not happy with this current turn of events. Tim, you know, we mentioned earlier in the game, how would Wake Forest react to adversity? Well, one of the things we've seen is some adversity for Virginia Tech, and the Hokies have reacted very well. They didn't shoot the ball well. They had guys in foul trouble. They've had guys hurt, but nonetheless, they've battled and battled and battled, and they've put themselves in position to win this game.
Oh, you're right. This has not been artistic, but it has certainly been an effective second half for Virginia Tech, gutting one out, as a veteran team must do from time to time.
Well, there's lots of times left, but I really think this is a must-score opportunity for Wake.
Drum got a freebie and then missed it. Wow, he was right behind Vasayo. The ball landed right in his hands, and he missed the shot from point-blank range.
And Deron Washington, who just got the dunk, gets that rebound. And Virginia Tech can afford to take their time.
Shot clock under 10. Nice defensive work by Dukes. Shot clock at 1. Sales loses. Collins tries to run it down. Save to Dowdell. And a foul.
That was an extremely dangerous play by Coleman Collins. He threw that ball almost to half court, and the Wake Forest guy gets it. It's a basket. Good block out by Skeen, a long miss, and Collins just throws the ball up there. Fortunate for Coleman Collins and the Hokies that Xavier Dowdell was there to corral.
Dowdell on the night is 8 out of 9 at the stripe.
Struggled from the field, but you expect your veteran guy to find ways to help you, and that's certainly what Xavier Dowdell has done tonight.
Ranks 4th all-time in career assists at Virginia Tech. And has been in double figures in every one of the games that he's played in the ACC at Castle Coliseum. 56-49, still very much in doubt. But if the last possession wasn't a must, this one has to be for Wake.
They really can't afford to take the entire shot clock before they get a shot.
This is where you really miss not having your pure point guard, Ishmael Smith. Drum steps back, drains it. A big throw. I'm not going to say he was on the line. It's just a 2. 56-51. He stepped back to try to get beyond the arc, but not quite. 2-possession game, though. Collins stripped. What work by Skeen, and then a foul by Collins. That should be 5. He got his pocket picked and then committed the foul. Boy, that Skeen has been impressive, hasn't he? That young man made a quality play against a veteran player. Of the 6 new recruits, I tell you, I really like this one for Wake Forest. He's given a lot of strong minutes tonight to Skip Prosser.
6'8", 220 pounds, and what he does here is just move his feet, keeps his feet moving, and then Coleman Collins puts the ball right in front of him, and he just grabs it, and then Collins reaches in. Watch Coleman Collins as he turns. He puts the ball right in front of Skeen, and Skeen doesn't put his hands out until Coleman Collins offers the ball. Now some big free throws for Skeen.
77% on the year. Coming up after our game, number 12 LSU against Oregon State. SEC meets Pac-10. Coverage here on FSN immediately following our game. A 1-possession game, 56-53. It's the first time that Coleman Collins has fouled out in his career here at Virginia Tech.
You know, I think if I'm Wake Forest and Lewis Witcher gets the ball, I foul him. I don't foul A.D. Vasai.
Skeen gets the foul. Third foul on Jamie Skeen.
Skip Prosser's not really happy over there. I think what he wanted was the double team to force Vasayo to give up the ball. Lewis Witcher is a 38% free throw shooter, so if Witcher gets the ball, I think he'd give a foul there. But not against Vasayo. He's only 2 of 4 from the line tonight, but he's 85% on the year. Okay, maybe it's not such a bad idea.
Are we splitting hairs now, Dan? You know, I sometimes think in the holiday season, particularly when you're playing a conference game and you've just concluded exams, it's just different. This is one of those wins later in the ACC season, provided someone gets one that's in need of a conference victory. You're going to be looking back saying, boy, are we glad we won that game back in December in Blacksburg. Hale, tough shot, puts it in, timeout, Wake. 57-55, 25.7 remaining. And give Virginia Tech credit, they did not allow Visser a touch in that sequence, but the Demon Deacons still managed to get the ball in the basket.
Virginia Tech defense forced a very tough shot by Harvey Hale. Hale made the shot, but it was not an easy opportunity.
There you see the timeout story. Both teams in the double bonus. Possession arrow to Wake Forest.
Now the last play, Harvey Hale is going to get the ball out at the top of the key. Watch as Jamie Skeen goes out here. Hale's going to drive the ball to the basket, and Skeen is open for the three-point shot. See, Skeen is open for the three-pointer, but Hale makes a very tough runner in the lane.
Young man played out of position most of last year and was known as a scorer at Rio Grande High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and now getting to play a position he's a bit more comfortable with. But now with Smith out, he and Shemaine Dukes are having to handle, really coordinate distribution of the basketball down the stretch here. How long do you wait until you foul if you're Wake Forest in this situation, Dan?
I think you foul as soon as an ideal opportunity presents itself. I don't think you have to foul the inbounds pass.
It really doesn't matter right now. Your best free throw shooter, Vasayo, is 2 for his last 6.
But he just made his last one. I think if I'm out there, I might give Deron Washington a chance from the free throw line.
Munson's in the game for the first time. It is Vasayo that's fouled. He's now 3 of 6 on the night, and he'll get to the line again. Lewis Witcher is going to come back into the game. L.D. Williams did get the foul, and Kyle Visser will come back in momentarily as well. Skip Prosser's had his fair share of close ones, as we documented there. You're going to have those in this league.
Tim, keep in mind that in terms of preseason predictions, what we have here is the Virginia Tech Hokies, who were picked 5th or 6th by most of the preseason prognosticators, against a Wake Forest team that a lot of people picked 12th.
Yeah.
Here you have an intensely competitive game on the home court of the team that was picked to finish high. Gives you some idea of the balance that the ACC had.
Got them both, and that was important.
You got to push the ball up the court and score quickly. 2 possessions, 2 or 3.
Skeen is fouled. Dowdell, really no reason for that.
It's a situation where defensively you can't fault the aggressiveness. You'd rather do it without the foul, particularly by your senior leader.
Seth Greenberg is in agony.
Well, we showed you that couple of views of Seth earlier, that Seth is, he's working all the facial expressions over there.
What a wonderful guy to be around. These are 2 of the most likable guys in the business, Prosser and Greenberg. Well, you extend the game with the help of that foul, giving Skeen a chance with no time coming off the clock to get back to the free throw line. And there should be an immediate foul. Munson has come back into the game for Virginia Tech.
Ball handling and free throw shooting. Witcher is the guy they took out. And now for Wake Forest, you don't have a choice. You got to foul whoever gets the ball.
And off the miss, they foul Deron Washington immediately.
And Washington comes in as a 56% free throw shooter.
On the line for the Hokies, number 13.
He, of course, will have 2 shots.
Shooting 2 shots.
He started 66 of 67 games here at Tech coming in. Just made it a 4-point game.
Seth Greenberg getting his guys off the line. Not wanting any over-the-back fouls in this situation.
Yes, he's saying, please don't stop play. Please don't stop play. The lead is 5. Duke's in a hurry. All the way to the basket. Nice idea.
That's good.
Timeouts left.
61-58. The only way they can stop it is with a foul, and they do so, getting Sales.
Sales actually made his first free throw of the year earlier today.
Yeah, he was 0 for 3 coming in.
At this point in the game, with 6.4 seconds left and 2 shots, 1 shot, making one of the 2 would sort of seal things up.
We're talking about getting one over the fence, aren't we? In the end, that's what we're talking about. So hard when you've got that warning track power. You've been hitting them in the gap. Those gappers, now you're trying to finally get one out of the yard. Let's see if Sales can.
Skip Prosser's telling his guys no timeouts, and he took Kyle Visser out of the game. If Sales misses the shot, if you're Wake, you've got time to get the ball up and shoot a 3. If you're Virginia Tech, all you got to do is defend the 3.
May have got one over the fence. Got the 30-second timeout. 62-58 with 6.4 remaining. Virginia Tech, this is a much-needed win for them, provided they hold on here in the last 6.4. They have Seton Hall in a non-conference affair. Campbell, Marshall, Richmond, and begin at Duke. They remember what that's like. On January the 6th, conference play opens up for them, but they will be, if they can hold on to this lead, 1-0 going into that game, and that's important. Gardner-Webb later in the week, then Richmond, South Florida, where Seth Greenberg once coached. Ahead for Wake Forest, East Carolina. Then they open up conference play on the 6th at Miami. Frank Haith's club has looked good of late.
Now what you want to do is you don't want to foul, but you want to make Wake Forest run some time off the clock here before they shoot it.
Dukes again all the way to the rack. 1.6 left. They must foul immediately. Sales looking to get it in. We got a foul prior to the inbounds.
And that's the foul you needed.
Yep.
Gurley is complaining, but he's nothing to complain about. That's exactly what you wanted to do, is foul before the inbounds pass was made. That's really the only chance that you have.
Once the ball's in play, that clock would begin to tick, and everyone would be hitting the exits. So
now, it's not really much of a chance, Tim, because even if Dowdell misses both of these free throws, the best Wake Forest can do is take the ball and throw it from down under the basket, because you don't have time to, if you get the rebound, to do anything but turn and heave it.
Dowdell now 9 of 12 at the free throw line.
And so now Dowdell creates the possibility that
a 3 could win.
Well, if he makes this one, Tim, it makes it a little easier for Wake Forest, because they can take the ball out of bounds.
True. Set something up. They will get that chance.
Now, they don't have any timeouts.
Drum going deep.
That's too far.
Too far.
You needed to throw it someplace where you could get a 3.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's off Tucker.
It's off Tucker, they're saying. Yeah.
However, there's only 0.3 seconds left in the game. And so now all you can do is tip it in.
I think Skip Prosser wants them to check the clock. I think that's what Skip Prosser is asking. He's like, wait a second, can we at least take a look at how much time should be remaining? It is off Tucker. That call was correct by Michael Kitts, and I think Skip Prosser is trying to impress upon Gary Maxwell and Curtis Shaw that they should take a look at the clock.
Wake Forest 31, Jamie Ski.
And Skip Prosser is asking for more time because at this point, with .3 or less, you can't catch it. If you catch it, the game's over.
It can only be a tip. Only a tip.
But see, the other thing that Skip Prosser gets to do is they are going to go over and check the time, and that gives Skip Prosser a chance to set something up for his team.
Well, I don't think there was ever any doubt that the officials would take a look at the clock, as they should have that opportunity, and Skip Prosser was urging them to do so.
The clock does not start until the ball touches somebody. There it touches Tucker. And it doesn't stop until the whistle blows. Now that showed .5. You might
when the
see
ball was out of play. Yeah.
You might see him put a point, but putting another tenth of a second on getting to .4
is huge.
That allows you to catch the ball
and shoot. That's right. If he could get it to 0.5. or actually even 0.4, that would be very beneficial. They want to take another look at it here. I give Skip Prosser a lot of credit for saying, look, we've got to take a look at this.
Clock starts there.
Yeah. All right. It's out of bounds there. I think they could get as many as 0.3 of a second back, but really all they need is 0.1 of a second. And we should remind everyone that officials, when they're checking replays, are not hearing what we have to say. They're making their own determinations.
Thank goodness they're not hearing what we have to say.
Only those poor souls at home have to deal with us. Meanwhile, Seth Greenberg's got to be saying to himself, "Boy, what do I have to do to get a narrow escape?"
Wow, he knows what he has to do to get a narrow escape.
They are going to put
.7.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And I think that's a good call.
Well, from what we showed, clearly the ball bounced out of bounds at .7.
No question. Now, some would say, but the whistle, that's when you can go to the clock. That's why they instituted
the rule.
That's right.
Nothing to do but catch it and shoot a three. Can't dribble it, can't fake. Just have to catch and shoot.
Skeen at the buzzer.
Oh, good heavens.
He got a great look. And Seth Greenberg and the Hokies survive. Hey, could not have asked for a better look. You had to have a three.
He hurried a little bit more than he had to, but this is your second leading three-point shooter. Just takes the ball, catches it, and lets it go.
In defense, though, Sales really came out and defended that shot very well. Marcus Sales, who's an outstanding defender. How about that last gasp by Seth Greenberg? Oh, the holiday season is here. Happy Hanukkah, Seth. You got a victory. 63-60. Back to wrap it up right after this.